Hello, ladies and gentlemen, all members of human family. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today. So excited to be your host. Today, our guest is very special. He's an artist. He's a great artist. His name is Shashank AKELLA. He won so many awards and he has a band. He's so cool, I'm telling you. And okay, I'll just let himself introduce himself. Hello, Shashank. How are you doing, man? What's up?
Hey, Florian, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is amazing. You're way too kind to me, man. You're really hyping me up. I'm doing great here.
I'm the one who's honored, bro. Like I'm so honored to have you, man. And the audience will understand why.
Cheers, man. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, so great. Thanks a lot. Okay, so before we get into it, can you please tell us about yourself?
Sure. Yep. So to everyone listening, I'm Shashank AKELLA. I'm from Bangalore. But I've been a guitarist all my life, actually. I started playing guitar when I was about 8 years old. I'm 26 now. And I've been playing rock, heavy metal, different kinds of stuff since then, but mainly stuff along the lines of rock and heavy metal. And just like everyone else, I had to, get an education, go to college, all of that usual stuff. But I've always been into music. I've primarily been a musician. It was only the past few years that I decided to get into the business side of music. Try and get into working on music videos, graphics, and all sorts of stuff, but specifically related to the entertainment business. And that is primarily what I do for a living. I'm an artist by the evening, and during the day I work on music videos, I work on concert logistics, events, with a music composer, that is. And that's me. I love gaming as well, if that's an interesting thing to say. I love gaming. And yep, games and music.
Great. So you said you started playing the guitar when you were what? 14?
No, I was 8 years old.
8 years old. Damn. How did you? Yeah. I mean, when you age, there are so many options. Why the guitar?
To be very honest, I thought the guitar was an incredibly cool instrument,
Okay.
We had a lot of cassettes back at home, back before CDs were that big, there were cassettes. And my mom and dad had a whole lot of them. That was basically like Pink Floyd and Sabbath and Zeppelin and Metallica, Dire Straits, all of the older stuff. Right. And I grew up listening to that kind of music. Whenever there was something up on TV, my dad would put it on, whether it was Santana or Clapton or any of these artists. Right. And watching them, it just felt really cool. I was always intrigued by the guitar. And I said, I really have to learn an instrument. If I learn an instrument, it has to be the guitar.
Yeah. So did you go to any special school to learn the guitar? Did you take special classes?
I did. So for the beginning couple of years that I started learning the guitar, I did have formal education. And I did switch schools on and off from time to time, maybe take a break or so. And after a point, I said, you know what, I've had enough of it. And, I decided to just play by myself. But I did have formal education growing up.
Oh, wow, interesting. Great. Yes. And can you tell us what has been your biggest challenge so far?
My biggest challenge so far, I think my biggest challenge so far has been particularly in the genre of music that I play, which is mainly, hard rock, a little bit of metal, rock and roll, that kind of stuff. And that's only because in this country, that kind of music doesn't sell as much as you'd like to. Granted, there are a ton of bands that do play similar genres of music. There are really good rock and metal bands in the country that do get recognition, but that's only, there's only so much that a band can do in that genre, because it's not really what the country is looking for, right? The kind of music that actually sells in this country is Indian music. Indian music sells, pop acts sell, and which is why being a hard rock musician is kind of a difficult situation to be in. It's got its own pros and cons. But at the same time, it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you so that you get your gigs as well as your money.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So I also know you were part of the 2-time Grammy Awards. Can you please tell us about that experience? I mean, Grammy Award is not a little thing, man. It's a big deal.
Yeah. That was honestly, like, I don't have the words for it. It happened very recently. And when I say very recently, I mean earlier this year in April. So how that happened was that I work with this music composer, Ricky Cage. He's a Bangalore-based music composer.
Okay.
And he actually won a Grammy back in 2015 or 16. I might have the date wrong, but he did win a Grammy earlier. And so I basically work for him full time. That's my job, right? I work on music videos, I work on graphics, do a bunch of different things in between these. And so he was actually planning on working on a follow-up to his Grammy-winning album, for which he had reached out to Stuart Copeland from The Police, which is huge because The Police are one of the biggest rock and roll bands in history. And to have him on the album was, I was quite speechless. And because of that, I got
wow. That was I didn't even get in touch with him. Like, how did you get there?
Yeah, no, I would love to. You mean how did I get in touch with Ricky?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually, one of my bandmates, I used to be in this, heavy metal band a few years ago. So he was actually working with Ricky.
Okay.
And he was quitting that job about a couple of years ago. I think in about 2020, he was quitting the job, and they were looking for someone to replace him. For which he suggested me, he said, why don't you apply for the job? I think you'll be a good fit. And that's pretty much it. So I applied for the job and I got it. And, I immediately started working with him. And that's pretty much how the job came to be. And that is still my job today, actually. It will be 3 years in a few more months. But I would have been working with Ricky for the past 3 years.
Can you share about the emotions? Because I'm really curious, though. Okay, I'm a speaker. I've been on stage a couple of times, and I know the emotion. But I just want to know, because it's different. Right now, we're talking music. Can you share about the emotions, the feelings when you're on stage, being in communion with such a large public, and it doesn't matter the number, just having people in communion with you. I mean, what's the feeling? What's the main emotion beside being excited and happiness? Is it satisfaction? Can you tell us? Can you tell us about it? Can you walk us through it?
Sure. I mean, for starters, I'd say it's a little bit of nerves as well. I don't usually get way too nervous while up on stage, but there are times when that does happen. But it feels incredible to actually be able to have people jump to your music, to sing along to stuff. And I don't know. I mean, excitement would be an understatement, but it almost feels like it isn't happening. When I'm
like you're dreaming, and someone.
Pretty much. That's sometimes you just have to take a moment to step back and think about it. That wow, this is actually real. People are being impacted by it, and I think that in itself is quite an experience. To know that people are being impacted by, they're being moved by what you do. And I think
I'm curious. I'm also curious, because like when have you ever? I'm sure you've met some people who knew you and we just came up to you for maybe autograph or a picture. How do you handle that?
How do I react to that?
Yeah, like how do you handle this much attention? Sometimes it can be, sometimes when you want to be, you just want to have a low profile, and all of a sudden someone comes up, hey, you Shashank, right? So how do you react to that? Like,
no,
do you enjoy it? Because I know some stars don't, some stars don't.
Yeah, no, I always enjoy it. I love it. I'll be honest, I love the attention. Okay. And that's not just it. I'd love to hear what people have to say about it. And there happen times where it hasn't been good stuff either. They give us some criticism or some feedback, whatever.
It happens. Some people are just the way they are. There's nothing you can change.
That's cool, and that's helpful as well.
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it's constructive, but sometimes some people just tell you stuff, out of their, I would say, negative mind.
Precisely. Yeah, that's true. But regardless of that, I always enjoy speaking to people after the shows. Whether it's just about the show or speaking of something else, maybe, they want to discuss music in general. because I love it. I may not see that person again, but for that brief moment, I love speaking to the audience. I love speaking to someone who's come for the show. I love speaking to fans, if I can call them. And I won't ever feel otherwise, unless I've been doing that for hours together, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. But unless it's been happening for hours together and I'm getting incredibly uncomfortable, I'm more than happy to indulge.
Wow, that's great, bro. And besides being an artist, like, do you have other dreams you would like to achieve? Do you have anything in mind? Anything else in mind?
To be honest, for the longest time, it's just about being a musician. And to be fair, I still have that dream. I still don't consider myself to have become an artist. So that is still a dream. But besides this, I think I mentioned that I'm, quite into video games.
Okay.
So that's something I definitely would like to explore, if not being an artist. Maybe developing video games.
Oh, wow. That's more fascinating.
Storytelling.
When you develop your first game, you'll be on the podcast again.
Oh, no, for sure. You can call me back then. To be honest, I actually tried out one of the video game development softwares a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Just to give it a shot. I actually wanted to create a video game a couple of years back. And I just tried out the software for about a month, figured that, this is way beyond my scope and I cannot give it the time that it deserves.
With learning and, the passion and determination, I think you'll end up making it if you really dedicate it and you really want.
Yeah, precisely.
If that's something, it's just about how badly you want it, I guess, in anything in life. You're just like how badly you wanted to become an artist and here you are, so. It's all about the sacrifice you're ready to make, the commitment, dedication.
Right. And I agree. You're 100% correct.
You got to be hungry.
Yeah, always hungry.
Yeah. And music is one of the most effective ways to communicate, to send a message. What is the main message you like to send to your fans, to your audience when you're out there?
The main message that I like to send to my fans, I think I'd say is to just have fun, because that's the way I am on stage. And I think the way I act, my behavior on stage is precisely on point with that, because, I jump around a lot, I run around, I do all sorts of nonsense. And I feel like that's the kind of attitude that I want people.
It's just the passion guiding you through it, right? So
exactly, yeah. I understand that this may not precisely be a sort of message that I want to give to an audience, but it's just my way of letting people know that they need to just rock and roll. That's what they need to do, right? Anything's troubling them, they just need to rock and roll. They're here to blow off some steam. You just need to rock and roll. Jump around, push people in a fun way. I don't mean that.
Of course.
Any sort of violent way, but that's what I mean. I love it. I love jumping around. I love letting people know that they need to have fun, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And you have a band. Like, how many of you are there? What are the members? How did you come together? How did it happen?
So we are basically a 6-piece band. There's 2 guitarists, we've got a bassist, we've got a vocalist, a drummer, and a keyboard player, keyboard and synthesizer.
Okay.
So I actually joined this band in, I think, about 2017, where I knew one of the guys. I'd watched them quite a few times before, and I really enjoyed their music as well. And one of these days I just asked him, I said, hey, if you guys are looking for a rhythm guitarist, just give me a shout. I'd love to come play with y'all, maybe jam with y'all. And he did. He gave me a call. We jammed it out, and since then I've been playing with them. For a couple of years in between, I wasn't around because I was doing my masters in the UK.
Okay.
But it was super cool of them to kind of have me back in the band when I came back to Bangalore. So that's pretty much about the band and how it started.
Okay. And besides Bangalore, where else have you guys played? Like concerts, events? Nationally, but also internationally, anywhere.
Right. So we actually haven't had any international shows yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
But in India,
do you have that in mind though?
Sorry?
do you have it in mind? Like, would you like, or do you plan having an international show someday?
Absolutely. That would be amazing. I feel like, like I said, with our style of music, we would definitely want to break out of the country and play to an international audience.
Okay.
We're yet to plan on how to get there, actually. It's going to be a slow process, but we do want to do it.
Yeah, because
it's just a matter of
you need
doing
so
it.
much like sponsors, managers, and someone who actually, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There are a lot of moving parts in playing an international show.
Mhm.
So, and it has to be at the right time as well, right? It just isn't about playing internationally. So we want to make sure that all of these things come together at the right time, or rather we make the right time for it.
Mhm.
So until then, we're going to be playing.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
You make the right time for it. I love it.
Yeah.
And nationally, besides Bangalore, where else have you ever played?
So we've played in Chennai, played in Kochi, Hyderabad, Pune, and all of these major cities. I can't remember the cities at the top of my head right now, but we haven't really explored a lot in the north of the country.
Okay.
But at least in the south, we've played in almost all major cities.
Mm-hmm. Wow, interesting, man.
And I feel like I haven't said this yet, but my band's called Space Is All We Have. That's what we call it.
All we have, yeah. Great. I was about to ask the name.
Yeah.
And have you recorded songs like the band as a band? Have you recorded songs, or do you have like an album coming up, or I don't know? Just like you said, you guys are, you're not doing it for fun. It's actually your profession. And
Right.
what is it that do you have songs already that you dropped, and where can people hear them?
Yeah. So we actually released our debut album 2 years ago in 2020. November.
Okay. What's the name of the album?
It's called Thank You Universe by Space Is All We Have. This is available on all major streaming platforms. So whether you listen to Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, whichever.
Can you say the name of the band once again?
The band's called Space Is All We Have.
Okay, cool. Then people, you heard Space Is All We Have. So
Yes.
And the name of the album is?
The name of the album is Thank You Universe.
Universe. Okay.
It's the only album we've released, and it's great timing that I should mention it right now, because we released the album 11th of November 2 years back. 11/11 is when we put it out.
That's amazing. That's great, man. Last question. It's the world. We are all young and we have so much energy, but the world is, as we see it, not only on the news, but sometimes on a day-to-day basis, is quite a messy place. But in this messy place, actually, there are millions of beautiful souls, and I met you. You are one of them. So, if there's anything you think humans should cultivate more, so we can have a better world, what will it be?
That's a loaded question. But first of all, you also are a beautiful soul.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I
get that out of the way. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be too cliched if I said everyone should be nicer to each other. But I actually have something.
Not only cliche, but I always say, I think I read it somewhere, probably, a perfect world will never happen. It doesn't mean that we should stop believing in it.
For sure. I agree. But you know what? I think, one change that we could make is to actually look after our environment, because there's so much pollution these days. There's so much that actually comes in the way of having a normal life. I can't comment on political issues or,
of course,
people being nicer to each other and stuff. But I feel like what we can actually start with is being, more conscious of the environment. And this is something that, even Ricky Cage always talks about. And it's something that I truly believe in. Okay. We're depleting our natural resources at an alarming rate. We're leading unhealthy lifestyles. And to be honest, years from now, we won't be able to live the way we do right now. We won't have enough resources, and that honestly is very scary. It's scary for us. It's scary for the future generations. And I personally feel like, again, I don't want to say this pretending like I do it. I don't, I'm not entirely, environmentally conscious yet, but it's something that I do want to kind of make a part of my own lifestyle. I do want to get there to make sure that I do my part in, looking after, the earth we live in. And that's something I truly believe in. And to be honest, working with Ricky Cage has really kind of, steered me into this direction as well. I always felt that way, but now more than ever, he always talks about this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If we don't take care of our own planet, then we're gonna have a tough time living.
Yeah, we're gonna be screwed. It's gonna be tough for the next generations. I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll end our episodes with a short quiz. If you were an animal, what would you want to be?
If I was an animal, okay, I would be. I don't know. I'd be a crocodile, I guess.
Crocodile. Why? Why crocodile?
They're quite terrifying, right?
So you like to be terrifying then?
Yeah, I would like to be terrifying, but in a way that I'm just doing my thing. If in my waters, then I'm going to eat you up. But besides that, I just want to know what that feels like to be that terrifying. Like, do they know they're that terrifying? Is that what it is?
I am sure they do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
You've been around for a long time. I guess they do.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the one thing besides your guitar? I insist. What is the one thing you cherish the most?
One thing I cherish the most.
Yeah.
If you asked me this question a few years back, I'd probably say my guitar or something.
Yeah, but that's why I said not the guitar.
Yeah, not the guitar, exactly. But even if I did, I wouldn't say it right now, because I don't. That's changed.
Okay,
but what I genuinely do cherish, which I also have taken for granted many times in the past, is good health.
Oh.
Again, I don't want to be too cliched about this, or say things for the sake of saying it. But growing up, that's one thing you realize, that maybe when you were younger, you'd be okay, being sick, or even being hungover, or not looking after your health. But growing up, I feel like that's something that's extremely important. And right now, I don't take it for granted. I do cherish good health, and that is something that I've learned very recently.
Plus, if you don't feel good, you cannot do good. Like, you can't even help others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your
physical health.
You're stuck in bed or stuck in hospital. So that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Your physical health affects your mental health, and your mental health can affect things you do.
You just feel, some part of you will feel, I don't know, useless. Like, okay, I came on this planet and here I am stuck, not doing shit. So that's
precisely.
That's true. Yeah. Good health is. Yeah, you gotta. So, guys, you heard Shashank is asking you to please take care of your health. So, any last word, Shashank?
Cool. Yeah. So once again, please do check out my band. Space is all we have. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, and every other major platform. We're on YouTube as well with our music videos. Also, do check out Ricky Cage's 2-time Grammy-winning album, Divine Tides. More than anything, just keep listening to music, discover new music, buy CDs, vinyls, invest in good music, because better music is better mental health. And lastly, thanks a whole lot, Florian, for having me on. I had a pleasure speaking to you. Honestly, all of your questions got me thinking about myself. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome, man.
Cheers to you,
I was so happy to
cheers,
bro. I was so
cheers
happy.
to you, man. All the very best to you, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are, so it was a lot in a short notice being out.
Not at all.
Thanks again.
Not at all.
Again.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for listening to today's episodes. I'll see you next time for another amazing episode of Weekly with Florian, to uplift and inspire. Take care of yourself, members of human family. Goodbye.